It's been 9 years since the Marikana massacre, one of the deadliest chapters in the story of democratic South Africa. To date, widows and relatives of the 34 striking mine workers who were shot dead are yet to see justice being served. Let's touch base now with our reporter Zikhona Tshona for the latest on today's commemorations. Zikhona, I do understand there are some families who are opting not to go to Johannesburg, of course, given the COVID protocols that have been put in place, and are in fact going to have their own little ceremony at the Kopi. Tell us more about that.
We are in Wonderkop at the Kopi, which was the epicenter of those strikes back in 2012. This is the exact spot where miners used to gather each and every day leading up to that shooting. At the top there, that white mark that you see there, one of the leaders of the protest that we spoke to a little earlier on saying, saying that was where he used to sit as someone who used to provide guidance to mine workers while they were striking so that they can know which direction the police will be coming from. Now, as you've mentioned, some of the families as well as survivors are currently traveling to Gauteng for the official commemoration event to be led by Union AMCU. But those who will not be traveling to Gauteng will be gathering here at the Kopi and will be laying a wreath. We do understand that that event was expected to take place this morning, but it's now been moved to later on in the afternoon, maybe to allow those who are in Gauteng to be able to make their way here. Now, we've been throughout this morning been able to speak to people who were there on the exact day, on the 16th of August in 2012, very painfully recalling the scenes, but also speaking about the impact on this community that it has had. We spoke to a family, children who've lost their father, saying that this has actually, what happened in 2012, their father dying, has also resulted in their mother being depressed, given that now she has had to take on the load of raising children on her own, and her children are currently unemployed. A huge call from this community for change. People want basic services, but also are calling for jobs. Young people here do not have job opportunities, many of them turning to alcohol and drugs and crime. So they're calling on government to not let those who died have died in vain, but also to provide basic services in this community.
And Zikhona, I do suspect also that maybe the reason then they're not able to do this at a time like this is also because they're trying to make sure that when they mark that moment when the miners were gunned down at the Kopi, they are then doing so both in Johannesburg as well as where you are, so that they all remember them at around 10 to 4 and in the afternoon. And Malungelo, you also traveling with the widows who are making their way to Johannesburg, and it's a very sad day for them, especially when you look at the fact that they all still say that justice is yet to be done.
That's right, Bongi. We're making our way to Johannesburg for that memorial lecture. As you can see, the bus is packed with the widows and the relatives. And of course, there's also some of the mine workers, Bongi, that are attending that memorial lecture that will be held in Johannesburg. You can hear the music. And you know, Bongi, in an African culture, when we're happy, we sing, but also when we're sad, we also sing. And of course, one of the things some of the people have been telling me is that they really want this day, really, to be made a public holiday, so that as South Africans we can take time to reflect on the events of this day 9 years ago, but also, Bongi, on what could have led to the killing that we saw on that day. And of course, Moses Nomhle is one of the widows of those mine workers who were killed on that day. Sisi kunjani? Zikhona. Xa kufika usuku uyawuziva njani man?
Lona lisuku liko right futhi ke uyongaziva kamnandi ngalo because elisuku alikanikezi ukuthi wonke umuntu akwazi ukuxola enhlizweni ngoba alikabi nabulungisa.
Yintoni ofuna ubona yenzeka?
Ngolsuku ndikhalela ugovernment wethu angalenza njengeholiday yabasebenzi kuthi namhlanje abasebenzi bonke balihloniphe isuku labasebenzi basemarikana abalala ngo-2012.
Ubuke wathera ekuqaleni uye wathi akabikho bulungisa, ndifuna sithethe ngaloo nto.
Ewe, akabikho ubulungisa emarikana. Abantu sisakhala sizifamilies ezalahlekelwayo ngabantu bethu emarikana, abayeni ootata sisakhala ngoba sasakhala ngento yokuba ugovernment wethu sifuna eze kubasebenzi azosithoba kubo, but kunanamhlanje akakayenzi loo nto leyo. So ithi loo nto leyo ubulungisa bukabikho, nathi asikaxoli sibone uba ukhona umntu ozithobayo ngento enzi kule marikana.
Ndiyabulela sisi. Bongi, that's the sentiment that you're getting from Sis Nomhle. She's a widow. I want us to talk about the latter part of her conversation with me, where she says they would want to see someone from government going to the workers in Marikana, going to the families, and essentially apologize for what happened on this day 9 years ago. But also she's saying that they also want to see justice for me. Somebody must be prosecuted for the killings that occurred on this day. But of course, Bongi, we cannot forget that there were also those that died on the days leading up to the Marikana massacre. And also I know some of those families too would want to have, the questions that they have to be answered ultimately. Bongi?
Malungelo, as those families are also even waiting, and on a day like this, they're reflecting as well on their part about what would have then, been the days before the 16th of August. Now, Zikhona, one of the things that you've had to do as well was to speak to the children of those who died on the 16th of August, and the pain is as real for them as it is for their mothers.
Certainly, we spoke to the son of Steleka Gadlela, who died a day after his 50th birthday. So on the 15th of August in 2012, he had turned 50, and on the 16th, he took his last breath. His son saying he was only 11 years old on that day, but he remembers it as clear as day. When a car arrived outside their home, their mother got called outside, and he knew the moment he saw his mother breaking down that something has gone wrong. He says when he speaks that their father had dreams for them, and now he can never see them being fulfilled. And he says it's painful even to this day that they have to grow up without a mother, and a father rather, and to watch their mother struggle so much to try and put food on the table, to make sure, for example, that they are able to be catered for, because now they don't have jobs. They're saying that the company took them to school, but because they are still living in Marikana, in an area where jobs are scarce, they are sitting at home and they are relying on their mother. But I think what broke my heart the most, speaking to that family, is to watch children speak about the pain and the suffering that their mother has had to endure as a result of this. For a child to say, my mother is depressed, my mother is doing things that she would not have done because of this, of the pain that she has suffered. Now she's alone, having to take care of children. These people are young people. They should not have suffered the pain that they are currently suffering. We are expecting the Gadlela family to be coming here to lay a wreath at its two siblings that will be coming here. Their mother is currently on that bus, making her way to Gauteng so that she can also remember her husband.
Certainly heartbreaking scenes that continue to come out of Marikana 9 years later, as these families are still battling then to get a sense of when and what justice is going to look like. I'd like to then leave it there with both of you for now, as we'll touch base with you throughout the course of the show, just to see where exactly you will be, Malungelo, when we are speaking, and how far will those families be from getting to that venue where the lecture is going to be held, and Zikhona, where the onlookers then are going to be probably making their way to the copy, just to also be able to pay their respects to what is now known as the Marikana massacre. That's Zikhona Tshona there, coming to us live from the copy where the massacre took place. And it was not actually far from there. The kraal where the actual shooting happened is not far from there. And just behind that copy, you can see there, that is where the other bodies were found of the men who were shot at what is now known as Sin 2. And Malungelo Booi traveling with those families who are making their way to Johannesburg.